Hey gang, last Thursday we had a wonderful opportunity to fly out to the Los Angeles area and to go to the Terranea Resort in Rancho Palos Verdes, California for the introduction of the latest golf shoe from Adidas Golf. And it's a kindling back to one of their most important lines, their flagship Tour 360 line. After a 2-year hiatus, the line is back, and it's back in style with the 8th generation of the Tour 360, this time called the Tour 360 Boost. Now, what's really interesting about this shoe is that it's the first time, as you may have guessed by the namesake, that Boost technology, which has been a winner for the company throughout all of its lines, including running and in golf with the introduction earlier this year of a couple of different shoes through the Adi Power name. It's really interesting to have this as part of the technology because, as the designers of the shoe told us in the reveal on Thursday night, it created some compromises for them with the 360 wrap as has been the iconic piece of this shoe for now a decade. And so what they decided to do was have to use data to guide them as to whether or not they would include two separate pieces here in the outsole. So you'd have one separate for the toe and one separate for the heel. And they did some additional testing and realized that it would be better for them in terms of lateral movement and traction to have this here, which they dub a bridge between the two pieces. So ultimately, the shoe doesn't have two completely separate toe and heel pieces, as you've seen in the 7 prior generations of the shoe. And what that ultimately creates is something a little bit strange, which is a gap between the shoes and the pieces between the heel and the toe, as well a gap between the 360 wrap in the midsole and what you get underneath with the TPU base. Now, what it does do is flex. So the good news is that it's not a completely rigid piece of material that just kind of sits there in suspension. That's the good news. The bad news is that if you have a flat foot like I do, it does create a tendency to have a kind of lack of support at times throughout the round. So it could make your feet hurt a little bit, as mine did after 18 holes at the gorgeous links at Terranea. Overall, though, the comfort of the shoe is wonderful and it performs very well. The cleating, 10 cleats, along with a series of nubs throughout the middle portion of the shoe, perform extremely well. We played on soft surfaces in heavy winds and high rain at points throughout the round, and the Tour 360 Boost did a wonderful job. It's very comfortable. The styling is aggressive. There are actually going to be 6 colorways that are available for this shoe. This model is available now, and then come January 8th, the additional colorways will be available too. They've also worked with the BOA enclosure company, come up with a BOA enclosure system for the Tour 360. That model will be available in January too. There are some limited quantities available, but it's a $30 upcharge for that enclosure system. Get you a little bit more in terms of customized fit and something that you can click back, dial up and down throughout the round, which is something that we really like too. On the inside, they have a great ETC liner that helps regulate temperature. As we mentioned during our practice round, we didn't really have a whole lot of enjoyable conditions, a lot of wind and rain, and this held up extremely well. And the other piece that we really like about this shoe is that there's a nice S-curve on the heel here, which is a first for this shoe, and not necessarily a first for the industry, but a first for the Tour 360. And the idea behind this was to create the fit that goes closer to the natural shape of the heel. And if you wear a variety of different golf shoes, or maybe if you just wear one golf shoe that you like, you know that from time to time you see in so many shoes that there's a cutoff here that doesn't really contour to your heel, and depending on where that falls in your heel, could dig in and cause problems, including blistering and other issues. So that's something we like about this too. This is going to retail for $200 when it's out with the BOA enclosure. As we mentioned, a $30 upcharge, so $230 altogether. It is an expensive shoe, but this has always been on the high end of the price range. And if you're willing to spend the money for a good golf shoe, the Tour 360 Boost is certainly worth your time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you next time.